The president of the European People's Party, Europe's largest political group, German member of the CSU, Manfred Weber, has been a member of the European Parliament since 2004 and is one of the European Parliament's most influential and most powerful politicians. So obviously he's a very busy man. So we're thrilled that you made it here to the Europe Today set. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Great to have you with us. Look, this heat wave that we're seeing, is that just normal June weather in your view, or is it climate change? Is it global warming?
Well, that's up to the scientists and experts to assess this. It's not up to the politicians. We see an abnormal situation, that's clear, and we face a new reality on European level, and we have to prepare for this. So on the one hand, I'm quite proud as a European politician that we did the Green Deal, that we are going forward, that Europe was the continent who made the Paris Agreement. You remember when we had a global agreement on fight against climate change, we made it possible. So Europe showed leadership.
But your party has been tinkering away at the Green Deal, rolling back parts of the Green Deal.
My party is Ursula von der Leyen party. My party is the party who did the Green Deal in the last mandate, and we fully support the Green Deal. It's our responsibility in today's world to deliver on these aspects. What we are asking for is to be reasonable in the business aspect, and that is what we are. We cannot kill our industry due to climate change. That is what we are asking for. So we need a common understanding to bring things in balance. That's always EPP approach.
And now jeopardising the debate, of course, is this conversation over aircon, whether to invest in air conditioning. Where is your view here? Is it a necessity or a luxury?
It's a necessity, no doubt about this. In former times, it was no question at all that we need heating in the north of Europe because it's colder there. There's no question. And today, if climate change, if hotter temperatures are arriving, we need also air conditioning. So it's a question of practical needs and to invest there. The European Union,
even though the scientists would argue that would go against the goals of the climate plan?
I don't see it like this, especially on air conditioning. We have the big advantage that if you also combine it with photovoltaics or with solar panels, then you can easily use the solar energy for air conditioning. So that's not in contradiction. We have that way towards green, sustainable energy production in Europe, to be not anymore depending on the Strait of Hormuz, to use also another debate of the last weeks, that we are ready for the future, and then we can challenge this.
So you're clearly going against the Teresa Ribera. Do you have your aircon on in your office today?
I think so. I hope so. That works, yes.
OK, well, many, of course, Europeans do not because they can't afford it. But let's move from climate to migration. The Parliament has just approved a law on these very controversial return hubs. Should EU money be spent on these return hubs, Mr. Weber?
It must work. In this moment of time, only 20% of the decisions that someone must leave the European Union is an illegal here, and not from a politician. It's from a judge. It's from an official service in the European Union. If someone is illegal, he has to leave the European Union, and only 20% are enforced in this moment.
And who should pay for these return hubs?
Well, return hub is only one part of a big legislation. And just to remind everyone, we were fighting about this migration thing for more than 10 years in Europe. It created a lot
Since Lampedusa in 2013.
It created a lot of problems and also created a lot of right extreme parties. And now I am proud as a European politician that I can tell people that we have now a solution, that 25 member states agreed, that all centre parties agreed. We do it together and we have an answer on this. We enforce it, and the main message is the state decides who is arriving and not the smugglers in the Mediterranean Sea.
And which countries will these return hubs be in?
Well, it's now up to the member states, so they have
What's
the
your
chance.
Preference?
It's not up to us on European level to decide about this. We have partners in Africa, in the Middle East, where we can work with, but it's up now to the colleagues to coordinate and to find partners. And it's not a must, If France and other countries are not using this option, then it's fine. But we have to enforce it. It must work.
And what you mentioned France. What about Spain, though? This week, of course, big news with Pedro Sanchez saying that 1 million people have applied for his programme for undocumented migrants. He argues that without immigration, Spain would lose 19% of its GDP by 2050. Does he have a point?
Well, Europe needs migration and legal migration. We need workers for our care system, for example. So that's obvious.
So do you support his plan?
The key question is who is invited to stay here. And if you legalize all illegals who are today in Spain, that's not the persons and personalities we need. We need qualified people who can really contribute to our system. And that is not happening in Spain.
These people, though, will contribute.
By the way, if we speak about a number of above 1 million people, that's not normal migration. That's not normal migration when you have such a massive increase.
But these people are already in the country working illegally. They're undocumented. So now if they become legal, they'll contribute.
That's up to the authorities to assess this. Again, nothing against legal migration, but again, if we speak about 1 million in a few weeks to be legalized, that's not a normal procedure. I hope that this is not a normal procedure. That's why I'm not in favor of this, and that has also impact to the others. So if Spain is doing it, they have the right of freedom of movement. They can go to France, they can go to Belgium, they can go to Poland.
Are these people a threat, do you think?
That's why it is an issue for all of us, and that's why I would expect that also leaders speak about these kind of massive 1 million people, massive legalization. That's an issue for Europe.
Another big issue for Europe, China. We saw those very delicate talks this Monday night between Maroš Šefčovič and his counterpart from Commerce. They put October now as a deadline. Is this just to avoid confrontation with China?
No, we have a totally fundamentally change of our approach to China. Stop naivety. We need a level playing field where we clarify that subsidies cannot be part of a free market economy perspective. And I'm also sure that we have to talk about the digital infrastructure of Europe. For example, the 6G infrastructure of tomorrow, though, if we invest in digital infrastructure, must be China-free. So I think we have to be clear that the new world is arriving and China must understand this.
And which team are you on here? Team Ursula von der Leyen or Team Friedrich Merz? They have completely different views vis-à-vis China.
We also have Team Emmanuel Macron. We have different teams in Europe. I would ask for one team, and I'm on the side of Šefčovič in Europe to defend our European interests. Stop naivety. That's the main message. Continue to do business, no problem on this, but stop naivety.
What if there's no deal, though, by October?
Then we are entering into a phase of a conflict, and we have to be clear that European Union, we speak about 450 million consumers. We are strong. We are economically the world power of this world.
And does conflict mean trade war, in your view?
I don't ask for it. I don't look for a kind of conflict. But the Chinese must understand that the overcapacities, again with solar panels, they did it already to occupy the global market, and the same want to do on the electric vehicles, on the electric cars. And we cannot allow this. We are the continent of trading. We are the continent of free market. No question on this. But it must be fair. And it must be level playing field.
And just on that point, you mentioned trade. You finally have the trade deal over the line with the United States. But just last week, we heard that announcement that President Trump might introduce tariffs because of the digital taxes Europe's imposing on the Americans. What does that mean then for the deal that you supported?
Well, I'm a man of transatlantic cooperation. I love to work together with the Americans. The current president is a special one. Everybody knows it. But we have now the deal. We have agreed on it. Europe delivered. As we promised it, and the EPP party was the adult in the room, others were playing on this. We always said from the very first moment on that our business needs certainty, needs stability now in the trade relationship with America. That's why good that we have it now. And if we continue the fight, then I should also say, let's stand up as Europeans and be proud again. 450 million consumers means also for America that we are the biggest external market for them. So let's use this power.
And if he makes good on these new tariffs, will you pull out of the deal, the Thunberg deal?
We want to keep the deal, and I would advise us not to react on every tweet and every message from Donald Trump, because in every morning show we speak about Trump, and that is exactly what he wants to do.
Do you think he's just bluffing?
Let's talk about us. Let's talk about our strengths and our values, what we stand for, and especially on the trade issue. We have now Australia, we have New Zealand, we have Mexico, we have Japan, we have Mercosur now in place, enforced. I'm happy. My party was always a party of free trade, and we believe that having with China and also with America more problems, we have to look for others who are rule-based, who love to work together, rule-based and value-based, and that's why there's a huge opportunity now for the biggest market in the world, and that is the European Union.
And as you say, we need to focus on ourselves, focus on Europeans. What's the new mood now in Europe regarding the new Hungarian head of state, Péter Major?
Well, I visited him 2 years ago when he entered into European politics, European Parliament. His TISA party first time was elected in Hungary, and I invited him to join the EPP group in the European Parliament. He accepted this, and he repaid this investment of trust now with a huge success. Last week when we had our gathering of the EPP leaders with Merz and all the colleagues, Péter Major was the first time inside of the EPP family being present, and it was a moment of big strength and also pride because the Hungarian voice is back on European level.
And will it be back when it comes to Ukraine?
Well, he already committed, 90 billion. He approved it. He gave green light. And also the first chapters on the negotiations now, he already agreed. He already gave green light. So we see the fundamental change now. Orban is gone, and all right extreme, all right populists in Europe have a big problem because their hero lost elections against young EPP leader Péter Major.
And just on a lighter note, I'm sure you've been watching the World Cup. The Mannschaft is out.
True. And I have now, as a German, I have to consider now what I'm looking for and what I'm supporting for. So we still have a lot of European teams being present there.
Who are you supporting?
And let's see how they perform, and wish them all the best.
Is it time for Julian Nagelsmann to stand aside?
Well, losing is never a good thing, and in this moment of time, especially in this game, we saw a lack of engagement. I respect every individual player, but there was a lack of engagement, and that's why it has to be discussed.
And now that Germany's out, who, Manfred Weber, will you support?
Well, hard question. I keep neutrality in this moment of time.
Okay, thank you so much, Manfred Weber, our guest here on Europe Today, for joining us.